gathering of the world's top 20 most powerful economies at a time when the world faces multiple challenges ranging from geopolitical conflicts in Ukraine and West Asia to climate change and blink and you miss it technological advancements. The host nation, Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, painted a dismal scenario in the first address of the event, which marked the launch of the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, which India also joined.
Compete aos que estão aqui.
It's up to those who are here, it's up to those around this table, the unavoidable task of ending this scourge that shames humanity. That's why we set as the central objective of the Brazilian presidency in the G20 the launch of a global alliance against hunger and poverty. This will be our greatest legacy.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi represented his country at the G20 Summit at Rio de Janeiro for the 11th time, having hosted the event last year in New Delhi. He got a rousing reception from the over 4,000 strong Indian community in Brazil when he reached his place of stay in the city. Prime Minister Modi is one among the rare leaders of democracies in 2024 who got another mandate to serve his nation for the third time while others failed to be re-elected. The PM also got a warm welcome from President Lula when he reached the venue of the G20 Summit at Rio's Museum of Modern Art. Prime Minister Modi made a strong case for the methods used by his government since 2014 to ensure social inclusion and fight hunger and poverty in India during the first session of the gathering, which was dedicated to this endeavour.
Over the last 10 years, we have lifted 250 million people out of poverty. Over 800 million people are being given food grains free of cost. 550 million people are benefiting from the world's biggest health insurance scheme. Now, 60 million senior citizens over the age of 70 will also be able to benefit from the free health insurance.
The PM also highlighted how 300 million women micro-entrepreneurs have been linked to banks and given access to credit. 40 million farmers have received benefits worth $20 billion. Another farmer scheme has seen assistance worth over $40 billion being given to 110 million farmers, and also how institutional credit worth $300 billion has been given to farmers. He even underscored how his government is focused on the nutrition of pregnant women, newborn babies, children under the age of 6 and adolescent girls.
The main reason for our success is our approach back to basics and march to the future. We have focused not only on natural farming and organic farming, but also on new technologies. We have focused on sustainable agriculture, protection of the environment, nutrition and food security by promoting Shri Anna or millets. We have developed over 2,000 climate resilient crop varieties and have started the Digital Agriculture Mission. India's digital public infrastructure enabled social and financial inclusion.
India also remained an effective voice for the Global South in Rio, having played an instrumental role in the inclusion of the African Union in the G20 last year at the New Delhi Summit.
I would like to say that countries of the Global South are most adversely impacted by the food, fuel and fertilizer crisis caused by global conflicts. So our discussions can only be successful when we keep in mind the challenges and priorities of the Global South. And just as we amplified the voice of Global South by granting permanent membership of G20 to the African Union during the New Delhi Summit, we will reform institutions of global governance.
The Indian Prime Minister also spoke at the third Rio G20 session, which was related to sustainable development and energy transition, where he elaborated upon India's green commitments and efforts to achieve sustainable development.
India is the first G20 country to have fulfilled the commitments it made under the Paris Agreement ahead of time. Now we are rapidly moving towards more ambitious goals. we had set ourselves the target of achieving 500 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. We have already achieved 200 gigawatts of that. We have made green transition a people's movement. Approximately 10 million families have registered for the world's biggest solar rooftop program.
Prime Minister Modi also mentioned Mission Life or Lifestyle for Environment to promote a sustainable lifestyle at a global level, and also talked about other sustainability related schemes.
We launched the International Solar Alliance. Over 100 countries have joined it. Under the One Sun, One World, One Grid initiative, we are cooperating on energy connectivity. India has set up a Green Hydrogen Innovation Center and launched a Global Biofuel Alliance. We are also running an extensive waste to energy campaign in India. In order to address challenges related to critical minerals, we have focused on a circular approach. Under the campaign One Tree for Mother, we have planted about 1 billion trees in India this year. India launched the Coalition of Disaster Resilient Infrastructure Initiative. Under this, we are now also focusing on post-disaster recovery and reconstruction.
The PM's concern for the Global South was also evident on the subject of sustainability.
Economic development is a priority for countries of the Global South, and in particular for small island developing states. In the digital age, and given the growing influence of AI, the need for a balanced and appropriate energy mix becomes all the more important. Therefore, affordable and assured climate finance for all energy transition in the Global South has become even more important. It is also essential for developed countries to fulfill their commitments to provide technology and finance in a timely manner.
The Rio Declaration, which put across the united stand of all G20 leaders on a wide range of global issues, came out on the very first day of the summit, with the host Brazil getting all help from other G20 Troika members, India, the previous year's host, and South Africa, the host of the summit in 2025. The 22-page document talked about respecting national boundaries, international laws, and peace in the context of Ukraine, reaching comprehensive ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon. It expressed deep concern over catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza and escalation in Lebanon. It stressed on the urgent need to expand flow of humanitarian assistance and enhance civilian protection. It advocated for two-state solution to end the conflict. It also laid out how the super rich could be taxed an extra 2%. It pushed for multilateral solutions to global challenges. It called for strengthening global governance through reforms of international institutions. It also committed to modifying the UN Security Council to align with realities of the 21st century. It reinforced the need to modernize the World Trade Organization to promote fair and sustainable trading system. It also called for addressing data governance in the development, deployment, and the use of artificial intelligence. It saw the launch of the Global Task Force for Climate Change Mobilization to strengthen climate financing. And it also reiterated Delhi Declaration's goal of moving from billions to trillions in climate finance.
Leaders of G20 were invited, countries and heads of international organizations, they were all invited, and they have participated and launched the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty. And India has also joined this alliance as one of the 147 founding members. This includes about 81 countries, the African Union and European Union, 24 international organizations, 9 international financial institutions, and 31 philanthropic and non-governmental organizations. The declaration focuses on hunger and poverty, it focuses on climate and energy, it focuses on developmental issues, it focuses a lot on accelerating the pace of sustainable development goals. There's been a huge emphasis on climate and energy also, but it also focuses a lot on a major component of this was geopolitics.
On the sidelines of the Rio G20 Summit, Prime Minister Modi also held several bilateral and multilateral meetings with other world leaders apart from some polar sides. A key outcome was the Declaration on Digital Public Infrastructure, AI and Data for Governance, which was a joint communique by the G20 Troika of India, Brazil and South Africa, and endorsed by several G20 member nations and international institutions. The declaration was all about leveraging DPI, AI and data in an optimal manner with necessary checks and balances in place to pursue the achievement of all SDGs. Prime Minister Modi split his bilateral meetings with leaders of different nations over the 2 days of the summit, starting on the 19th of November with Indonesia's newly elected President Prabowo Subianto. It was the first meeting between the two leaders. Prime Minister Modi congratulated President Subianto on his assumption of office. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening bilateral ties in the framework of their comprehensive strategic partnership. Day 1 also saw Prime Minister Modi meeting his Portuguese counterpart Luis Montenegro for the first time after he assumed office in April 2024. Both leaders congratulated each other for their recent electoral victories and conveyed their desire to work together to deepen and strengthen ties between India and Portugal. The PM's next bilateral engagement was with his Italian counterpart Giorgia Meloni. This was the fifth meeting between the two leaders in the last 2 years. They reiterated their commitment to advancing the India-Italy strategic partnership and announced a joint strategic action plan 2025 to 2029, which outlines their vision for the next 5 years. The day also saw Prime Minister Modi meeting Norway's PM Jonas Gahr Støre. Both leaders took stock of the progress in bilateral relations and discussed ways to further strengthen cooperation in various fields. They also reaffirmed the significance of the India-European Free Trade Association Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement for attracting greater investments into India from EFTA countries, including Norway. Prime Minister Modi next met French President Emmanuel Macron on the sidelines of the Rio G20 Summit. This was the third meeting between the two leaders this year after President Macron's visit to India as chief guest for the Republic Day celebrations in January and their meeting on the sidelines of the G7 Summit in Italy in June. Two leaders commended the strengthening of trade, investment and technology ties, including in the areas of digital technology and artificial intelligence, as well as India-France partnership on digital public infrastructure. The final bilateral meeting of day 1 of the summit was with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. This was also the first time the two leaders met each other as PMs of their countries, and they congratulated each other for their electoral wins this year. Both leaders underlined the importance of resuming the India-UK Free Trade Agreement negotiations at an early date. PM Modi also announced the establishment of 2 consulates general of India in the UK in Belfast and Manchester. On day 2 of the summit, the PM's first bilateral meeting was with the host country's president Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, where he thanked the Brazilian leader for his hospitality and congratulated him on the success of Brazil's G20 and IPSA presidencies. He also commended the Brazilian initiative to establish the Global Alliance Against Poverty and Hunger and conveyed India's strong support for it. As a G20 Troika member, Prime Minister Modi also underlined India's support for the Brazilian G20 agenda focused on sustainable development and global governance reform, which has given primacy to the concerns of the Global South.
The President and the Prime Minister held discussions on enhancing the India-Brazil strategic partnership. Both of them agreed that there was still more potential to be explored and exploited in this partnership in a variety of areas, ranging from agriculture to defense to digital technology, tourism, biofuels, pharmaceuticals and space.
The next 2 bilateral meetings which Prime Minister Modi held were with his Chilean and Argentinian counterparts. As both Chilean President Gabriel Boric Font and Argentina's President Javier Milei were elected to office in 2024, PM Modi congratulated both of them for their recent electoral victories and discussed ways to take bilateral ties forward with both the countries.
There were discussions on a number of areas. I should perhaps mention that there was a very rich and vibrant discussion on governance, and the two sides, the two leaders exchanged their thoughts and their experience in handling issues related to governance. They also expressed satisfaction at the broadening of the strategic partnership between the two countries in various areas. There are opportunities for the two sides to cooperate in areas related to pharmaceuticals, defense technology, critical minerals, particularly lithium. And I should mention that in the lithium space, there's been a significant agreement just signed just earlier this year between India and Argentina, whereby an Indian public sector undertaking has entered into an agreement to explore a lithium mine in Argentina. This is possibly the first such initiative by an Indian entity anywhere in the world with regard to lithium and critical minerals.
The PM's last bilateral engagement in Rio was with his Australian counterpart Anthony Albanese, where the two leaders held the second India-Australia Annual Summit. A joint statement was issued on the occasion, and the PMs also welcomed the launch of the Renewable Energy Partnership.
Defense industry, critical mineral, renewable energy, shipbuilding, space, स्पोर्ट्स जैसे क्षेत्रों में आपसी सहयोग की नई संभावनाओं पर काम करेंगे। पारस्परिक लाभदायक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन समझौते के लिए काम किया जाएगा।
There is so much potential in the relationship between Australia and India. So much more we can do together to build a stronger, safer and more prosperous future for citizens in both of our countries. Today I am delighted to welcome the launch of the India-Australia Renewable Energy Partnership. This is a significant milestone in our cooperation. Our new partnership will boost two-way investment in renewable energy projects like solar PV manufacturing, battery mineral processing, green hydrogen and green iron, build the future renewable energy workforce, including through skills and training, and ultimately unlock economic opportunities to support the net zero transition.
India's Prime Minister also had a lot of pull-aside and brief interactions with other world leaders during the summit. These included US President Joe Biden, Spanish President Pedro Sanchez, Singapore Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres. And the PM also had heartwarming interactions with the Indian diaspora in Brazil, who welcomed him to Rio with all their joy, affection and admiration.
I think this visit of Modi ji, it was when he shook hands with all of us, it was mesmerizing. I think the feeling which you get, the goosebumps which you get inside is amazing, He has an electrifying aura, I think, and a personality. Probably looks much more younger what he looks on the TV, So at his age, 74, I only wish that Modi ji continues, running our country, making us all proud, and we continue being, growing under his leadership.
We are here experiencing, like I said, goosebumps, and we are meeting for the first time to him. And it was like a heavenly feeling, seeing him here in person and feeling him as a persona, the energy was so great here.
Children sang Vande Mataram upon his arrival. A group of women performed Garba and Dandiya.
PM sir was also very impressed that we made good use of technology and we made this performance a success.
He was very, very, very happy, and for us it's a big present for being a performer. So I would really thank that he patiently watched our complete performance.
It's very, very special for us. Yeah, we are so happy, very happy.
And another group of Brazilian Sanskrit scholars recited Vedic chants with their Acharya, who had also been mentioned by the PM in his monthly radio show, Man Ki Baat.
I got very emotional. For us, it's very meaningful to express our gratitude in the form of these mantras. We have been studying here in Brazil for so many years. I'm studying for 20 years, each one of us at least 8-10 years. And be able to show our respect and our gratitude is very important for us.
Even before the PM flew out of Rio to his next destination in Guyana's Georgetown, he witnessed an enthralling 9.5-minute interpretation of the Ramayana performed by Brazilian artists. He described the show as excellent, one word which could also be used to sum up his participation at the 2024 G20 Summit in Rio.
Paramam Shivam